Hey, it's your old pal Slim, and this is 70mm, a podcast for film lovers. Every Monday, I'm joined by dear friend and artist Danny Haas.
I would do nothing until the daylight. There's no way. Fetal position until morning. That's exactly what I would be.
And our spiritual advisor, Protolexis.
I'm so scared.
And together as friends forever, we discuss recently watched movies. Later in this episode, we cover one of the most successful independent movies of all time, The Blair Witch Project. Did Proto sit through the whole thing for his very first viewing? Find out now. It is Halloween season, and we put out a survey to our patrons, our amazing 200 plus strong patrons, and there was one thing among the group that jumped out at us. It's time to do another vote.
Oh, gosh.
So it is now official that we will be doing the Masters of Horror voting bracket for the final week of October. You choose the movie we do. Proto, please tell us more about this.
We wanted to let the patrons in and to choose one of the movies for the month of October because it's so much fun, and they just fight with one another for weeks on end. Yeah. No one's happy. And somehow we're the bad guys. So it's a great time. Looking forward to experiencing that once again. But this list of movies, we were just kind of chatting about it. Like, hey, let's get big directors in here. The ones everyone knows, like Carpenter, Romero, Argento, the big ones, as they say. Hitchcock's in here.
Gosh.
So we're doing a Sweet 16, and just to give you a taste. The first round, we've got the movie Raw.
Never heard of it.
Nightmare on Elm Street, which you probably have heard of.
Yes.
Then we got a matchup. Listen to this. Hitchcock's Psycho versus Guillermo del Toro's The Devil's Backbone.
Away. This
is real. We also got, and then, we're doing something, we got something new. We got the Candyman, not the 90s Candyman. We got the 2021 Candyman in here.
No.
Versus Evil Dead. We've also got American Psycho, the original Suspiria. So who knows what it could be? Just a lot of great movies. I don't think I've seen any of these movies. So it's a win-win for me, no matter what movie's picked. So I'm excited.
I don't know what the situation's going to be for the vote for American Psycho versus Suspiria. I feel like people are going to lose their minds.
I mean, seriously, when you look at this, I can't even path out what it could be for the winner.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's really hard. There's a lot I want to watch too.
So that's the big news to start off the show. And we mentioned the patrons get access to vote for those, and we'll release that as a full episode for the end of the month. We just put out the Matrix episode for our supporters. What an episode that was, huh?
What an app.
A special one.
Mm-hmm.
It's a long one, almost an hour long, exclusive app in the 70mm vault. And then as of recording, we just pushed out Jaws 2.
You believe?
If you remember last year, we did the Jaws episode with our producer at large, Dale. So we were vacationing this past week, so we thought, why not go back to the beach and record Jaws 2 together, continue the tradition. Proto, if you have one thing to say about Jaws 2 right now, what would it be?
Those darn kids in their sailboats. I'll never get over it. The idea of a child having a boat.
You can get access to the Patreon using 70mmpod.com, the link on there. We have some new friends to call out. Meg, my own sister, joined our Patreon. I don't think we even talked about that.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
She did.
She is a listener of the show, and she joined last week. Meg, thank you. Love you.
Thank you, Meg. Come on the show, Meg.
Josh, Sarah, and Hannah also joined this week.
Welcome.
Danny, did you watch any movies this week?
I did watch some movies. Well, I watched two that we can chat about real quick because they tie into our episode. I watched The Book of Secrets, Blair Witch 2.
My God.
And then I watched the 2016 Blair Witch movie. And they both are absolute garbage. So I don't want to talk about them because I don't care. They're trash. So don't watch them. But one of the movie I threw on this week, which was a kind of a short, it's 30 minutes. The Human Voice, Pedro Almodovar.
What?
Tilda Swinton did like a 30-minute, I think, if I remember correctly, she's the only person in this. I don't think they show anybody else. It's like a one-woman show, 30 minutes, and it's amazing. I mean, Tilda Swinton is one of my favorites. We know this.
Mm-hmm.
And she does kind of it's not really like a monologue, but she's a woman going through like a breakup, and her significant other isn't returning, and she's just kind of slowly losing it. And it's really good, and I really enjoyed it, and I would recommend anybody take 30 minutes to watch it. It's on HBO Max.
Sheesh.
Yeah,
I watched
it was a lot of fun.
Pedro Almodovar movie recently, and it was effed up.
Wait, which one did you watch?
It's the like In My Own Skin or Under My Skin
Skin
movie.
I Live In?
The Skin I Live In?
Good Lord. Mama. I don't even throw that phrase around willy-nilly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's effed up.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Proto, have you ever seen an Almodovar?
No. I know he had that movie, one of his more recent movies, Pain and Glory, that got a lot of praise. I think that came out last year or 2 years ago. Who knows? Maybe I don't want to. Maybe this is just somebody I stay away from after hearing effed up.
Check out Tilda. 30 minutes. HBO Max.
Don't tell me what to do.
Any other movies, Danny, that weren't trash? Like the Blair Witch cinematic universe?
No, that's it.
I can't believe you watched those today.
Why not?
I can't believe it. The filth in those Blair Witch films.
Okay, so the second one is trash. But the most recent one
is... reboot?
It's not a reboot. Sorta. Did you watch it?
No.
Okay. So it's the brother of Heather, and he's reinvestigating after, the missings. And
is it found footage?
It's yes, it is. It's that's the problem. It's like almost a shot for shot kind of remake of the Blair Witch, but telling like a secondary story. It's not great, but I will say the last maybe 15 minutes were quite scary. It has a really good ending for a very bad movie. I will say that. So it's terrible, but I got scared for a few moments. I had to pull my headphones off for a second because the noises in that finale were really getting to me.
Got too real.
Well, I was alone in my house. Everyone had left, and I'm like, man, I feel like someone's behind me. I don't know what was going on.
God.
That's when they'll get you.
Our main feature of this episode is the Blair Witch Project. Last week when you announced this pick, Proto started sweating.
Rock the world.
On the call immediately.
Instant sweat.
The instant sweats kicked in. So we'll get into that movie later in this episode. Proto, did you watch any movies this week?
I did. Oh, well, I did get to watch while we were vacationing. We watched Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol.
We did over like 3 days.
It took us the whole time, but we got it done. And I had seen this movie before. I'm finally putting the pieces together that I think I've seen this one twice, and I don't think I've seen Rogue Nation or Fallout ever. So I think that's where I stand.
Interesting.
But this movie, it felt very much like a Brad Bird movie. I was getting like Incredibles vibes as I was watching it. And really, I don't know if there's I feel like Brad Bird is probably the perfect director for a Mission Impossible. He just feels like such a good fit the way he directs a movie. So I like that choice, but I feel like I don't know. There was like too much action. It was one of those action movies where there's just too much just nonstop action. My eyes start to glaze over, but that's just me. But it was a sweet memory to watch it with you guys.
Yeah, there was like 5 times where the agents screwed up and they had to like restart. Yes. The mission. I think I didn't notice it really until this viewing, where I was like, God dang, how long is this movie? They screw up and then they have to like restart a whole new movie of missions to try to get this guy. They
fail every single mission until the last possible one.
I think this is I think I still have this at 4 stars, but it's probably my lowest one of the modern ones, starting with 3. I love this one the least. I think.
I can definitely see that for sure.
His hair is great though.
There's nothing wrong with his hair.
Oh yeah. He's got great hair.
I think I said this. Can you imagine if he grows that hair out again, but like, as he is today, like older Tom?
Stop it.
Grows it out.
I mean, you guys remember what I said. I said he should enter a Burt Reynolds phase where he just has a killer mustache after seeing that mustache he was wearing in the Kremlin.
That Kremlin mustache. You kidding me?
He could rock it.
Anything else, Proto?
Yeah. So I continued our Choose Your Own Noirney this week. So for the month of September, the 2 movies are Asphalt Jungle and The American Friend. So I watched The American Friend, which is a Wim Wenders picture. I guess he's a German director. It's like half German, the movie. A lot of German, a lot of English. I think there's some French. Very strange movie. I kind of don't know what to think of it. It's about a guy who gets recruited to be a hitman, kind of almost like against his will. So you kind of get to see somebody's like first day on the job. Pretty bizarre. It co-stars Dennis Hopper. And probably the biggest role that I've seen him in a movie. And he just continues to be a weird actor. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
But it's a fascinating movie. Yeah, I didn't give it any stars. I really don't know how to feel about it. I was confused a lot of it. I'm not sure I understand it completely. But it's really a really fascinating movie, and it was something I had never heard of before it was put on this neo-noir list on Criterion, and I think it's worth checking out. I really do.
There was a movie I think it was the Discord today where we're talking about Wim Wenders, the director, did another movie, and it's like 4.5 hours long. It's got William Hurt in it, and it was like a early 90s movie. It takes place in quote 1999. But the wiki said the original cut of the movie is allegedly 20 hours long.
What?
That wasn't a made-up comment that I put in chat today.
Yeah.
That was real.
It's called Until the End of the World. I thought it actually originally aired on TV. I thought I read that at one point.
I didn't see that.
I thought I saw that.
Can someone confirm?
We'll have to check the internet.
We should, real quick, before we get to a movie I watched, we should call out the winner of this week's Letterboxd Pro membership for the year. And if you share the show on social media, spread the word of 70mm, spread the word of the 70mm vault, you get entered to win a free year of Letterboxd Pro. And this week's winner is Walter Crenshaw on Twitter.
My goodness.
Walter.
Congrats, Walter.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
No ads for you, my friend. And you get that sweet, sweet banner on the back of your page. And if you wanted to support Letterboxd and upgrade yourself to pro or patron status, get your name in the lights, you can do so at any time using the special link on 70mmpod.com. We could talk about the new Candyman. That's in, full disclosure, that's in the bracket. That could win for the final week.
It won't. I don't think talk about it.
I don't think it's going to win. So I'm safe to talk about this. So Amanda and I had a nice little date night in my apartment, aka my basement.
Amazing.
We got some furniture down here. We got some hand-me-down couches. So we came down here with our doggos, sat down, watched some Candyman. The director, Nia DaCosta, it's the first film I've ever seen her direct. I love the way this movie looks. She's got some style. She's got another movie that she did with an actress that I love by the name of Tessa Thompson. You ever heard of her?
I have.
Rings.
She's in a movie called Little Woods, which is on Hulu right now. So for the first 3 quarters of Candyman, this was a 4-banger. I was like, hell yeah, this is really good. Towards the end, it got a little crazy, got a little messy. Didn't love it. But it's not a spoiler to say that this ties in a pretty cool way with the first movie, which I wasn't expecting.
Nice.
I thought this was just going to be like totally separate in its own thing. But there are some really fun and swell nods to the first film. But that's all I'll say about that.
Nice.
So I gave it 3.5 stars.
Yeah, it's sitting at 3.3 on LB. I feel like the reviews that came into The Village, I felt like it was getting poo-pooed on. There were a lot of low scores for this movie.
There's a lot of that going on right now.
A lot of poo-pooing?
A lot of poo-pooing in this Discord.
Pop gave it 2 stars. Let's see who else. Boom gave it 2.5 stars.
Name them.
I'm going to name them. Ben, 2.5 stars.
Oh my gosh. Call him out.
Boom, you might remember Boom from the Cinenauts podcast. Hope it comes back one day. Ray gave it 2 stars. Dylan, 2 stars. Your boy Ben, 2.5 stars. You talk about poo-pooing.
Put their home addresses up too while we're at it.
Yep.
Before we get into Blair Witch, I teased something early before we were recording, before I forgot to hit record. I told Danny that for my pick, I was going to do something I'd never done before. And I had a pick picked out that I was going to be like a left field pick.
Okay.
So I am like technically going to do 2 picks for next week. That I will
Wait. Wait.
So this is like my pre-pick. This isn't the official one. So like next week at the end of the show, I'm going to tell you what my pick is, and that's going to be the one. But I have a movie that I would love for the Village to watch. And one of the main reasons I didn't pick it is because I Googled it. It's hard to find. And I saw a link to Shudder. So I was like, hell yeah, I didn't know this movie was on Shudder. Turns out it's just like an old link that it was on Shudder at one point. And when I hit play earlier today, it failed. So it's not on Shudder. This is a quote movie called Ghost Watch. And this is a television, like reality mockumentary, documentary television show that aired in Great Britain in 1992 on Halloween. And it had a legit newscaster host it. This news crew goes into a haunted house and does a live investigation. And it's played off as a legit show, like a legit news broadcast. So people seeing it on TV were like, what's happening? And it's not like a strict horror movie. It's just kind of like a really fun documentary thing to see that isn't really made anymore. So it's not available anywhere but archive.org. So if you want to stream it, you can watch it. It's up there right now. So really fun. Hope people want to check it out. I'll be watching it this week.
I've seen it.
You've seen this?
You showed it to me. Like
I didn't know you watched
we talked
it.
about this, I think
ago.
last year. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Yeah.
Pardo, did you watch it?
No.
I found a copy floating around the internet. I gave it a watch.
Is it time to do it? Pardo?
There's nothing else
You
to
were
do.
nervous last week, and we watched Blair Witch in advance of this discussion for Halloween. The big one. The most, quote unquote, the most successful independent film of all time.
Is that real?
Guinness World Record holder.
In the Black Hills of Burkittsville, Maryland, there is a local legend of the Blair Witch. In 1994, 3 young filmmakers hike into the woods in hopes of capturing the history of this legend on film. Heather, Josh, and Mike first visit the town and gather whatever tidbits they can from the locals. Then, they enter the unmarked woods in hopes of finding sites that are a part of the legend. When they have enough footage, they attempt to leave, but they soon find out that what they have captured is not only very real, but very close. As their composure and sense of direction dwindles, the 3 find themselves lost, in over their heads, and the target of something unspeakable that haunts these woods.
gosh, I got the chills.
Did this movie even have credits in theaters? I feel like it didn't. Right?
I didn't see it in theaters. I don't know.
I was trying to remember when I saw it in theaters because when I got done watching it, the credits rolled, and I was like, "Well, this probably didn't happen."
Did you get to see it on the release?
Yeah, I saw it in theaters when it came out. Probably with my sisters.
So
My
jealous.
sister Meg.
Good golly.
Meg, call us.
Meg, please. Danny, what's your backstory with the Blair Witch Project?
I mean, I remember the talk around it at the time, but in '99, there was no way I was being allowed to watch this film.
You and Casey had been dating for about 15 years by then? At grade
something
school?
like that. So yeah, there wasn't a way my parents were allowing me to watch it, and I didn't get to see it until it came out on video, and I watched it at a friend's house late one night when I was spending the night there. So I remember it being insane and crazy, and people were talking about it, but I didn't get a chance to see it in theaters, which I really wish I could have.
Was you just actively avoiding this and every other horror movie growing up, 1999?
Yeah, I wasn't watching any horror. I didn't grow up watching any horror. My dad had no interest. My older brother and older sister, not really interested in horror movies. I do remember when this came out, though. I can remember the commercial of just, seeing Heather. I'm so scared. I'm so scared.
Mm-hmm.
And being like, wow, this looks pretty scary. And then, of course, just hearing about it afterwards. But yeah, I never saw it and never really wanted to because, yeah, I'm not really a horror guy. So this was definitely not something that I was seeking out afterwards.
Guava Juice in chat says someone in the back of the theater yelled at the lights came on, "What the actual F?" There was a definite mood in the theater. Yeah, I feel like I had the same experience. People just like asking WTF in theaters when it ended. So do you remember what your first early horror movie experience was, Preto, if you never really watched any?
Yeah, well, I remember seeing The Others. I think I might have saw The Others in theater, and that movie scared me to death. That has Nicole Kidman where she's like a governess of a house that's haunted.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's scary now, but at the time I was terrified. And then probably the Ring scarred me when I saw that. I don't think I saw that in theater, but I saw that at home, and that movie hit different.
I remember seeing the ads, and we talked about it last week a bit, but the kind of marketing push behind this movie just felt different and new at the time. Is this legit or what is this? I don't remember other stuff like this. And I was trying to think back of other found footage. This kind of, I guess, officially kicked it off. But I did watch a found footage movie on Shudder last year that was about an alien invasion that has been said to be the first found footage movie. It wasn't very good.
I think the first found footage movie I saw was Cloverfield.
Yeah. I was going to say Cloverfield too.
But comparing the two, Cloverfield feels so forced.
Really?
When comparing it to this. Yeah, there's scenes in Cloverfield where near the end where it's you're dropping the camera and running away. It just doesn't make sense for you still to be recording. Whereas in this movie, I buy that they continue to record up until when they have, especially because it's also working as their lights. It just makes a lot more sense, and it's very believable to me.
Well, a lot of that goes for Blair Witch because it's all improvised. There's no script for this film, and they filmed for 8 days straight in the woods. So what the directors would do, they gave them an outline of the film, and they would leave canisters, 35 millimeter film canisters at spots in the woods, and they would get their kind of direction for the day on what they're going to do. But the actors didn't know what each other actor was given as a form of direction. So it would say Heather, you're going to adamantly just be firm that you know where you're going. you know the map, you know the terrain, you know where you're going, and fight it tooth and nail. And then one of the other actors would have something like freak out on her and run away or something. And she would have to respond as they're filming each other on the spot, in which I feel like which lends itself to so much raw emotion in this film. I mean, I was watching an interview with them and they were saying that because they would actually get hungry, they're in the woods, they're doing this for 8 days straight, they would start to get mad at each other. And they even had to have a safe word with the three of each other so they would realize they're actually pissed off and they're not acting anymore. So there's just a lot to be said about how this was made and how well it holds up now.
Did they say what the safe word was?
Taco. I'm being serious.
I don't. Yeah, I don't even know. You could be right.
I was definitely surprised at the acting. Yeah, I thought it was great. It feels so real and authentic. It doesn't feel like they're acting at all. And yeah, I don't know if these were just like their friends or were these professional actors, but it makes a lot of sense when you put it that way. That they're not reading lines from a script. They're just kind of figuring it out. And those scenes where they're arguing, especially about the directions and, the map and does she really know where she's going?
Yeah.
Just even their gestures, the way they would look away and look out into the woods. It just felt very real.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with all of that.
We're going straight ahead up there.
If you've known where we're going, we wouldn't be hiking like
we're in the middle of the fucking woods.
Some of it is off-trail hiking.
Because people told you, oh yeah, there's a cemetery back in there.
I don't.
Lost, admit that first. Because
we're not. I know we're not lost.
Oh, you knew that yesterday too, and you knew that twice
Look,
today.
No bullshit, and we have not been lost at all today. Not once. I know where we're going.
Okay, this is where we were.
Let me tell you what you said to us. It's like 2 miles away. Then it's like 2
just
hours
chill,
away, 3 hours away. Maybe it's 4 hours away. How could you?
Did you agree to do this project?
I did. I agreed to a scouted out project. I didn't.
It is scouted out, and I told you that getting to the location wasn't
okay,
going to be
guys,
easy.
Guys, it's cool. It's cool. It's cool.
And the night shots were them really going to sleep for the night. And so they're being woken up by stuff being thrown around, children's cryings. All this stuff is actually waking them up out of them sleeping a day off of doing this in the woods all day. So they were going to bed for the night and then still being woken up and having to be on, which it just feels like brilliant for this kind of movie.
Yeah, the children noises outside of the tent, come on.
Stop it.
I remember in theater ready to pee myself. If I was an actor in that scenario, I would still be ready to just poop. I would just be oh, I'm about to poop myself right now. This is happening and I'm going to pee. And this is horrifying. You explaining how they got notes and they wouldn't know what the other person was doing. You know what it reminds me of is Andre from My Dinner with Andre. How he talked about how he did those acting things in the jungle or wherever he was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
One of my first notes for Blair Witch Project is just, I think I've talked about this before, the National Lampoon's episode, but the idea of going into the woods with a map in 2021. I'm an adult. I would be dead in 3 days. There's no way I'm coming out of there. I don't understand how civilization did it. Makes
also,
my skin crawl.
The map that she had was a terrain kind of elevation map, and then they were like, we're below this line. There's no map for where we're at. I'm just oh God, what are you doing?
Anytime I'm out in the woods, if I'm going for a hike, you're on a trail. And then I've been in certain places where it's if you want to get to this peak, you have to bushwhack for half a mile or whatever.
What?
And as soon as you go off a trail, with trees, you can't see 20 feet in front of you. Everything looks the same. It's really scary. And then the idea of walking for miles trying to find something, without a smartphone with the All Trails app. Yeah, it's it's nuts.
So when you go on your Adirondack trips, do you bring a compass as a last ditch scenario thing?
No, not where we're going. There's so many trails. There's so many people. you would really have to try to get lost. And then there's an app called All Trails where it's like GPS, and you can download the whole, it gives you like elevation, everything about where you are, that if you have that, it's almost impossible to get lost.
I was going to say the beginning of this film, we watched so many paranormal hunting shows, especially the more recent Destination Field, where this is like what they're doing. They're filming each other in these locations. And I just was like, damn it, this is my jam. Like, I just was so into the beginning of this film, them, planning this trip and then interviewing the townspeople. I don't know. I was instantly like ready for this. I was just happy to watch this again. I mean, it's been since I first saw it. I never watched it again since the first time. So it's been years to see this. And it just came like whooshing back. Just these creepy feelings of knowing how this ends and then knowing, I don't know, the path taken for this film. It's just wild how much I love it. It's crazy.
It's a lot of fun too to see, just like independent filmmaking done on like, I would presume a shoestring budget, and it just works so well. So I was actually just curious, like, I wonder what these directors ended up doing. I think at least one of them did like a story in the VHS movies. Is that what it's called? The horror anthology stuff. But man, they did strike gold. I mean, how much money must they have made from this movie?
It was like $250 million off of a $60,000 budget. And that's what it won the Guinness for, was the top box office ratio from budget to profit or whatever. So yeah, I mean, 60, there's once it hit Sundance and the talk of the town there, it skyrocketed astronomically.
Well, I think you watched the documentary thing before. So where was this? Was this on MTV? This was kind of like to get people amped up for the movie.
Yeah. So they put that out as like the mockumentary, because when they were all said and done with the 8 days of filming, they had 19 hours of footage to be cut down. And it was cut down to 2.5 hours. And then the studio chopped it again to the 90 or 80 something minutes that we get now, which is perfect. So with the extra footage that they had, they made that mockumentary is what they showed to kind of spur interest into the film that's coming out.
And it still holds up. You rated that pretty highly, I think, on Letterboxd, right?
I gave it a big heart. I don't know if I gave it 5 stars too. It's just so smart. It's genius marketing for this film. It's exactly what you would need to make this a hit.
Can you imagine this being 2.5 hours?
No, I don't. I think it's too long.
2 hours of them just yelling at each other.
Yeah, Heather just screaming. Oh my God, she has a scream too. What a good horror film scream! When she exits that tent, chasing
that's
whoever's in front of her. It's just the blood curdling scream she has, and what's crazy about that scene too is, because this is all improv, when she's screaming, "What's that? What's that?" She's seeing a figure that they were supposed to film, but the guy running forgot to turn the camera over there. And so you never, they were actually supposed to show the witch real quick. And so she's actually seeing it for the first time, running through the woods in the dark, freaking out. I mean, it's perfect.
Yeah, I had no idea how this movie was going to play out, and I was surprised at how much how it takes its time. I mean, it's only 80 minutes long, but it really does have a slow build. It's like 20 minutes before they're even into the woods.
Yeah,
they're collecting their supplies, they're interviewing in the town, they're getting the shot, that opening shot that she wants to get, and I think it makes sense, because I think 60 minutes in the woods is probably, they really got all they could out of it. I think if this was even 10 minutes longer, it would have been 10 minutes too long, because it's just, you're starting to get like, it's starting to like just repeat itself towards the end, where it's just like, okay, another day where they're lost. They don't know what to do. They can't. And like they've reached the end of their rope when there's like 10 minutes left and they find the house. So I think it's just, it's really perfect in terms of like length and the slow build towards the ending.
Yeah. One of my other notes was hearing Josh yell at night. Remember when he like went missing and they can hear him in the distance?
God, fuck
That
me.
is-
Is this not a Skinwalker movie?
Might as well be. God.
That is frightening. Like those
It is.
parts were really scary in my opinion. I mean, the kids banging on the tent.
Stop
Would you leave the tent? I mean, I was yelling at the TV. I was like, what are you doing getting out of that tent? You run into the pitch black darkness.
I would do nothing until the daylight. There's no way. Fetal position until morning. That's exactly what I would be.
I love the scenes with the locals to start off the movie.
Mhm.
You know, like that mom and then the older guy doing the interviews. It walks the line of like, this seems legit. You know, it still feels real.
Mhm.
And I also liked how they weren't like, I'm trying to think of like the actual plot of in wrestling terms and kayfabe, like how this would have been released. If it was found footage, like nobody would have found a tape that was 80 minutes long, right? They talked about having enough footage for things. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like in the storyline, did somebody edit this together and then release it? Was that ever explained in like the
I
documentary?
think it says that at the beginning.
Yeah.
That
it
it's
does
stitched
just someone
together.
edit it?
It's explained in the documentary too, the mockumentary. They put their footage together after finding the tapes that Heather left.
Got it.
I love the character of Heather
Mhm.
and the relationship she has with Josh and Mike, especially for a horror movie. I think she's so strong, so independent, so the leader of these three. You know, when they're both against her, like, you don't know where you're going, we're lost. She's like, no, I have it together. I know where we're going. And she gets them to the cemetery, with the 7 graves. And it's like, all right, she actually, she figured this all out. But then seeing the reverse happen, I just can't imagine. I just can't. I really do. Like seeing this in theater, believing this is real, must have just been like so amazing. Because like having Heather be such a strong, powerful character, and then seeing her completely melt at the end of this movie is like genius. Because she's this girl who has everything together, and by the end she's whimpering and crying as she's like descending down to her death. And it's just so good. I can't imagine being a teenager sitting in a dark theater watching this, just pooping my pants. Like I would have died seeing this. I just can't even imagine.
They even had on IMDb at the time, they had the 3 actors marked as deceased when this was coming out.
God.
Like the mother of Heather got so many condolence calls and letters about her daughter dying. Like it's also, they also use their actual real life names. Heather is her real name. And I watched an interview where she said that she regretted ever using her real name for this film because of what it did to everything about her life. So it's just it's absolutely wild to me. And one of the scene, whenever throughout the years, when anyone brings up Blair Witch, I instantly think of the bloody teeth in the flannel. Like, I don't know why that image has just burned its way into my mental capacity of this film. Like, it's all I think about when I think of the Blair Witch. And maybe it's also Heather's reaction to it because it's so startling and crazy and freaky, and those are real teeth. Like, the director went to his dentist and got real teeth. Like, this movie is insane to me. It's just crazy.
See, I couldn't tell that those were teeth. Was that was like clear to you guys? I couldn't make out what that was even.
It
in
definitely
that.
looked like teeth to me.
Okay.
The scene where she's talking to the camera and her, the camera's on the ground looking up.
Iconic.
And I guess I forgot about this line where she's like, I'm scared to
close my eyes. Scared to open them.
Horrifying thought. You're just effed either way. Caleb says, I thought it was his eyes in there.
No, it's teeth.
Goody says
I thought that too
tongue.
for a minute.
Could be tongue, but it's definitely teeth. The iconic scene of her talking to the camera, it was all improvised, I've said before, but also it wasn't even told. She wasn't even asked to do it. She, at one point in the night, she took the camera aside and just started recording this monologue. And she even accidentally zooms in on her face. She meant to get her whole face in the shot, which it just feels crazy to me because I feel like this is one of the most iconic horror shots. When you think of, I mean, this is
Ever.
forever.
Yeah.
I mean, this picture of her, it's just wild to me. And then it was all an accident and it was improvised. And she's crying and snotting and it's just like, this is
knob.
like movie magic.
The tent stuff is just so good. I mean, let's go on a ghost hunt right now in the woods.
Let's talk about you
The three
going
of us.
camping this weekend
I know.
after doing
I
the
can't
Blair
remember where I
Witch.
said that. I said, what are the chances of us doing Blair Witch and then me leaving the next day for 2 nights camping? I can't wait to show this movie to like James when he gets a little bit older. You know,
tell him it's real.
Like you get like kind of bored. I wonder if he'd even get it. You know, like
He may not
would
even
he
care.
obviously think that it's fake and a movie, or would he like, is this
Mm.
real? What is this? Wonder. Because we did start to see some reviews come in through our Discord. We have a channel where the like letterbox reviews pipe in. And some people were like explicitly calling out, they're like, I never saw this when I was younger. I kind of don't get it, but I would have if I saw it, you know, when I was younger. So I don't know, like I'm getting kind of positive vibes from Proto. So Proto's kind of in that same boat. So we'll see where it ends up.
Can we talk about the finale in that house?
Let's get into it.
I mean, what were your vibes coming into that?
This
Your
was
stress
like,
levels.
I just remember the scene of the wall. The guy standing in front of the wall is another iconic moment that you see as memes. And so this time around, I mean, it's been 20 years maybe since I've seen this movie. Still holds up. You know, I'm getting kind of like nervous them running through that house because it looks legit as hell. Proto?
Mm.
I didn't know if you were going to see the witch. I was pretty much expecting there to be some kind of shot, some kind of jump at some point. Of course, I've seen that shot of him facing the wall, but I didn't know what else happens with the witch. Like if she appears, you know, if she's seen at any point, I had no idea. So I was like, when they get into the house, I'm like, all right, you know, is this going to be the moment? I was really waiting. And I think it helped this movie is that I was waiting for like some kind of big jump scare. And there really isn't any jumps in this whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just dread that you feel watching this. And I think if someone would have told me that at the beginning, like there isn't any jump scares in this, I would have been much more relaxed. But there's like this tension, especially of the camera waving back and forth, peering into the night. Like, oh my God, you're just like waiting for, I think there's one shot that actually did kind of scare me I think it was early on at night where they have the camera out and you see Heather on the left side of the camera and then it pans back looking and then all of a sudden she's on the right side and like waving her hand. And I was like, oh my God, like how'd she get it? I thought it was somebody else. So that was kind of freaky, but yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, the end, I mean, I guess the whole ending, there's so much that's not revealed in any of this of, all right, this mirrors the story of the guy who killed those kids. So there's that, but then there's also the story of the witch and there's like supernatural stuff seemingly happening. So what is happening? You know, it's very muddy, the end. So I don't know if I was like completely satisfied with how it all turns out, especially how it leaves you. It's like, there's really nothing, there's nothing explained. Nothing makes any sense. I don't know. Did they explain did they talk about any of that in the mockumentary?
No, the mockumentary is just kind of still trying to like piece together if it's a myth or if it's actually someone playing a trick on them, like the guy that killed the 7 children. Like, is there actually a serial killer out there and not supernatural? And I feel the same way you do when the ending hits, because at this point, I am like max anxiety in this film. And then that's just being in the woods, to walk into this creepy house with the handprints on the walls and just, only seeing, you have no peripheral. You can only see what the camera and flashlight's showing. And it's terrifying. But then it's like, I don't know if I know that not seeing the witch is great, but also I don't know if it helped my enjoyment of the ending. Like when the camera drops and it's on the dirt floor, it's like, man, I don't want it to be, I think it's what it is. I didn't want it to be over. Like I didn't want that to be the final shot. And having watched so much paranormal shows, so many don't end with a satisfying ending. So I'm just kind of used to that now. And to left it be so wide open. So a part of me was like, awesome. Yes, I love this. And then I'm like, man, I wish I just saw a witch come in and decapitate them or something. That's just, I don't know, like something insane to happen at the end.
I think I'm still satisfied with the ending because so many movies today take it that extra step further and give you, the money shot of the horror movie.
Yeah.
They like show you exactly what you want, but this one still keeps it kind of legit. Could be real, whatever. So I'm still super into the ending. And this, it like teeters the line of like just weird and supernatural enough to like maybe happen to you. Like you're in the woods in this scenario and you're following somebody and they start acting weird. And then you just realize you're pretty much effed at that point. Like this is it for me, I guess. Goodbye.
Yeah, it definitely works for the aspect of it possibly being real, because then if you do have a witch or something in there, I think even though someone could be watching this buying into everything, but then if they see something that's truly supernatural or like a witch in a black robe, they'd be like, wait a second, maybe that doesn't look real. That could have maybe broken the facade. So I think it makes sense at the time that they shot it this way.
Danny, anything on our list that we didn't cover for the Blair Witch Project?
I think that's it. I think I have I'll give my final thoughts. I think I have a definite love for this film. I wish I could have gotten to experience this day one in a theater with the idea that this is real. I love that it's guys from my hometown created this with a shoestring budget. It's exactly what I wanted. Exactly what I remembered enjoying. For me, it still holds up. It's a 4-star movie for me.
It's only a 3.3 on Letterboxd, and the average, I forgot to mention, I asked on IG if this movie scared the pants off you when you saw it. 69% said yes.
Excuse me.
FYI. So 82 people I follow on Letterboxd who watch this. The ratings are all over the place for this. Like I see some 1 stars, I see a half star, 2, 3. So this is a very divisive rating scale for a movie. I think for me, this still fits in with like Signs as like a movie that I had a great experience with as a kid. And that just, that memory has stayed with me over time. Plus the fact that it just exists and worked so well when it came out. I'm maybe 5 stars for Blair Witch Project.
Yes.
This just hits all the right buttons for me.
Yes.
Supernatural, could be real, getting scared. It's just so much fun.
Do I go up a star with you? My God, I'm loving the love. Let's go.
I mean, there's plus like me growing up, like I was super hardcore into like, the idea of like making movies, doing it yourself. This is, like a student project almost. You know, like you could go make this movie yourself today with an iPhone. Go do that. So that really resonates with me too.
My last note, and probably my favorite scene in the movie that stayed with me, is there's a scene where Josh takes Heather's camera and he's pointing it at her. And he says, I think I know why you like using the camera so much, because it makes reality. He says something along the lines of, it makes reality feel like pretend. Like as you look through the lens, what you're seeing isn't real. And I thought that's such like a great meta line, especially for a movie like this, because it's kind of like a statement about the audience watching as well. You know, we all go into a theater with the agreement that what we're watching isn't real and that we can feel okay about it. But then here's this movie where everybody in the theater is watching this, believing that it's real. And it's like the opposite of the normal experience. And he kind of calls that out in the movie. So I thought that was like such a great, just like statement about what our expectations are and how this movie completely can flipped it on people at the time of release. So I think I can appreciate this movie for how it stands. And I think you could call this like a classic, right? This is kind of, it defined a genre of horror. I think for me, Joe, the viewing experience, it was a good movie. It's a 3-star movie for me. I enjoyed it. I don't know if I'd like want to watch it again.
Yeah.
Unless somebody really wanted to, I'd watch it again with somebody, but it's not like I wasn't really blown away by the experience, but I could appreciate everything that it did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm fine rewatching this every 10 years, 15 years, see how it ages, like fine wine, for sure. Art in chat, the weekly bracing for Proto's rating going any which way. It's very real. Topsy-turvy. So that's the Blair Witch. Glad that we finally rewatched that. Start off our October this year. What a month. God, what a month.
Big month ahead of us.
You can shoot us a letter or a voicemail at 70mmpod.com. There's links on there. So let's get to our VM this week. We got one from a dear friend of ours, Andy. Let's listen to it right now.
Hey, what's up? It's Andy from Orlando. And this week, you guys are talking about Blair Witch. This movie, along with Scream, I feel like were the horror movies of the late 90s. Like they were the ones kind of leading the charge and made a huge impact during that time. I remember my sister saw it and it terrified her so much that I never saw it. And still to this day, I have never seen it. I know the premise. I know it's been spoiled. I know the ending and like all that kind of stuff. But still to this day, I'm like, nope, I don't mess with it. But even though I've never seen it, I appreciate what it did for the genre. And I remember, at that time, I'm sure you guys talked about it, but, there was no internet. There's no, like, where it is today. And so, like, people really thought this was real. My sister really thought those people died, like, thought that that it was a real thing. And so I remember they brought them out. They brought the cast or the director one time for the movie awards, the MTV Movie Awards, and like my sister's face like just dropped, like her jaw just dropped because like there they were, like the actors, like that's when it all clicked for her. But anyways, it was a big deal, and obviously it was a huge hit. And so I'm excited to hear your thoughts, and I can't wait for Proto's pick. All right. Love you guys. Bye.
Golly. Proto, do you know what your pick is yet?
I'm waffling. It actually it depends on your pick.
Oh.
The old waffle.
Oh. I have a feeling I might know what it is. I might know what's in the runner.
You probably do know what I'm thinking. One of them was something.
We also have a few letters to get to this week. There's a link on our website, or you can just email 70mmpod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Subject line, Blair Witch email. Get right to the point. Marcy. Hello, all. Just wanted to write in this week and say I love this VHS Village, and I'm so glad I have you all in my life. We have something very special here, and I'm thankful for it every day. You all mean a lot to me, and if any of you got lost in the thick, scary woods of Maryland, I would heavily consider going in to find you. After carefully reviewing your Hercules Letterboxd star rating first. Don't worry, I think Proto will thrive in the forest. Love you all, and thank you for everything, Marcy.
Got him.
Proto would thrive in the forest, I think. You would just create a second new life in the forest.
Just got to work with what you got.
Thank you, Marcy. We love you. Yoli, coming in hot. Hello, 70mm boys. Just wanted to send a quick note to say how very much I enjoyed and appreciated Latin American Movies Month. What a month that was, huh?
Mm-hmm.
One of our biggest months in history. Of course, as a Mexican American, I'm a bit biased, but it was really such a treat to view The Exterminating Angel, Roma, and City of God, and to shine a light on these filmmakers. Roma was already a favorite of mine, so it was super exciting to have a pod episode covering it. And I had never seen or even heard of Angel or City previously. So thank you for broadening my horizons. They are both terrific films. Shout out to Ismail for suggesting a Latin American Movies Month. Let's see. Hold on. Do I want to pronounce this? K Idea 10 Fantastica. Thanks
Nailed
again
it.
to all. Big hugs, Yoli. Thank you, Yoli. Very kind email. What a friggin' month. It's time for my pick
Oh, yeah.
for next week. Let me see if I pulled it up. Last time I watched this movie was 2015.
Oh, no.
January 20th. And I quote from my review.
Oh, gosh. Do it.
Easily the best horror film I've ever seen.
Oh, God.
What?
2015. It's time to
sorry.
take it up a notch.
Oh, no.
2014's The Babadook.
Oh, no.
No, you're doing this to Proto.
Oh, no.
Oh, we are putting him
We're
through
going
it.
to grow together. We're going to get through this together. If you need me to drive an hour to watch this movie with you hand
I
in
think
hand,
you need to.
I'll do it.
This
God
movie
damn it.
is something else.
God.
This is not streaming right now, but it's available for rental, $2.99. You know, throw $2.99 to the wonderful The Babadook, directed by Jennifer Kent, written by Jennifer Kent, if I do believe my memory. When I saw this movie, blew me away. Blew me away. I mean, I don't just throw around best horror movie I've ever seen. Matthew, I had that review open in the next tab. Matthew's review of two stars for The
We'll
Babadook.
produce our show, Matthew, please.
Let me handle it from here on out, Matthew. So yes, hyperbole. This is a 3.5 on Letterboxd right now. Let me see what our village thinks.
Did I
Besides Matthew's
write a
2-star.
review or did I star it?
I'm not sure. I don't see you. But I'm excited. Berto, what do you think? The Babadook for next week.
Well, I mean, the things I've heard about this movie is that it's legit scary. So I might be watching this on my phone at arm's length in daylight.
Here's my review, 4.5 stars. Unsettling. I'm unsettled. I don't want to watch this again. That was my review for this. Oh, no.
Cripes. Very excited. Also next week, we're recording the first Harry Potter movie. That's next week.
Oh, my.
So right before the Babadook, we're doing Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. What a two punch.
What a night.
Oh, golly gee. Is there anything else I wanted to say before we sign
Pivoting
off?
too. It's a Tuesday recording.
Oh, that's right. Good call. Next Tuesday. Someone's got a jet set out of the state.
I'll be at New York Comic Con. Come say
If you're
hi.
New
if
York
you're there.
Comic Con, come say hi to Danny within 6 feet. No handshakes, no pounds necessarily. I don't know if that's going to happen.
Excuse me?
Maybe, maybe like a foot tap, you know? Maybe like, I don't know if that's the thing you do at cons. Do you just
can
like
tap your
nod
credit
to
card
people
if
when
you're
they...
buying my art.
You going to have any 70mm stickers or anything at the
I will bring
table?
70mm stickers. Come say hi.
You know, we didn't say it on the show. I'm not even sure if we said it in the post show, but Danny said a few people came up to him at a recent show he did to bust his chops about things he said on this podcast.
Unreal.
Yeah. MegaCon Orlando, I had some people busting my chops for some of my comments about movies. It's a very special moment. Didn't even know these people. But here we go.
Thank you for listening. Proto, closing thoughts before we leave for the week and energize ourselves for the Babadook.
Yeah, I just got to call out our village Discord once again. You know, this week we had one of our villagers share some sad news with us, some personal news, and they came to the village for support. You know, as just a place where they could reach out, and that's just something, you know, I don't think any of us ever imagined, you know, this being a place for that, but here we are, and it's really beautiful, this community that we have, and it's only possible because of everyone that's here. So shout out to the village and everybody who makes it a great place. I love you guys.
Love you. See you next week. $70mm is a tape deck production with original artwork provided by Danny Haas. Spiritual guidance provided and V'ger, the robot who loves movies, created by Protolexis. Producer Emeritus Dale_A. Transcripts provided by Sophie Shin. Prints and other merch are available on 70mmpod.com. This episode was mixed, edited, and produced by me, Slim. Support our Patreon for access to our VHS Village Discord to talk movies with new friends and access to exclusive episodes, discounts on merch, and a physical membership card mailed to you. To check out other Tape Deck podcasts, find the link in the episode notes. And if you'd like to support our friends at Letterboxd and upgrade to pro or patron status, you can do so with a 20% off discount using the links on 70mmpod.com. Goodbye.
This is a Tape Deck podcast.